Hi, I'm Jonathan Weinberg, and here I'm going to do another pen review. I hope, pretty quick one. It's of the Plaisir, I guess that's how you pronounce it, Platinum Plaisir Fountain Pen, which is a very inexpensive pen from Japan, from Platinum. It's a pen that you don't read so much about, and people don't seem to talk that much about it because, as they were saying about this in Gulen pens, it uses the same nib as the Platinum Preppy, which is extremely cheap pen. I mean, you can get this for like around $5, and the Plaisir is a kind of upgraded version of the Preppy, and I guess people like the cheap Preppy, or they feel like, why pay more to get this, right? I'm not sure. I mean, one reason is this is one of my Preppy pens, and it has broken. It's so cheap that it doesn't last very well. But the nib on these pens are really, I think, are really quite good. They're unusual. If you pull it out, and you see that it looks very different from other kinds of nibs because it has this long kind of hose, and then the nib itself is more like a lamy nib almost, and then it just goes in and out. And this is the same kind of nib that you have on the Plaisir. I'm not going to pull it out because this is already inked. Anyway, I sort of had bought this pen, and had it in front of my television set for a while, and I was using it a lot, just because it was handy. And I realized that I really do like the nib. I like the way it draws. The pen itself is very light, and it doesn't screw. It sort of makes this clipping sound, like a lot of other Platinum pens. If it's sitting around, it doesn't go dry, which is really well done. I think the way they're able to do that. But it does feel quite insubstantial and cheap, I think, in comparison to its most obvious competitor, which is the Pilot Metropolitan. It's much lighter pen. But I think the nib on the Plaisir is actually better than the standard nib that you get on the Metropolitan. And I kind of enjoy drawing with this better in some way. Now, I'm a huge fan of Pilot pens. They're more expensive pens. And the Metropolitan is fine, but I actually like drawing with this better. And this was only $12 on Amazon when I got it. But here's the rub. It comes with, I think, one or two cartridges. I open this up. But, the converter is extra, and converters with Platinum pens cost around $11, which is pretty pricey. While I believe when you buy a Metropolitan for around $20, it does come with a converter. And in any case, so you're talking about a pen that with a converter goes for maybe around $24, $25. When I say that it's light and it feels cheap, I've noticed that when I draw with it or use it, it somehow gets a little bit loose and sort of jiggles around, and I sometimes have to tighten it, and that's not a good thing. And yet, as I say, I find the nib itself, and it's both smooth, but it has this nice feedback to it, quite lovely for drawing, although it has absolutely no line variation. You also see that, like the Preppy, it has this similar feed section in which you can see the ink sort of going through, and you can kind of tell here, the bottom part, how much ink you have left, sort of, in your converter. So that's nice. That's nice. But I wonder overall how long a pen like this is going to last. On the other hand, because it's so inexpensive and so light, you can just sort of put it in your bag and you don't have to worry about it. I like the way it sort of snaps together. I think that's cool. But a Pilot Metropolitan, I think I've had this for like 6 years, and it looks like it's new. So there is that sense that the Metropolitan is really, I think, a very substantial pen. You feel like it's really going to last. I'm not as sure about this. So that's sort of my take on this pen. What I'm going to do is I'll do the standard writing sample. Saying, this is my caveat about the writing sample that you see on all these reviews, that unless you use a pen for a while, you really don't know how good a pen is, right? I initially, when I got this pen, didn't think it was that great, but after using it for over a month, I've really come to enjoy it. Often it's the exact opposite. I like a pen at first, and then I find out, well, after when you write with it, it doesn't work so great. So this writing sample thing is always, I think, very problematic. I'm also going to do a drawing with it to show you how it draws. But again, you have to sort of live with a pen to really get used to it. And I've this has become sort of one of my go-to pens that I just have around and I use. So thank you. Oh, don't forget to subscribe. Subscribing is the way in which you support the channel and you get me to do more of these reviews. Uh, it writes very smoothly, but with just a little bit of feedback. It's the Diamine purple. It's a nice color. And you can see there's absolutely no line variation. But it's quite wet. I think I forgot to mention the pen post. It's made out of aluminum, very thin aluminum, but it feels almost like it's made out of plastic, that it's so light and flimsy. So it has a kind of cheap material. This is a quote from Thomas Paine. These are the times that try men's souls. And here I'm drawing an iris flower because the purple color reminds me of irises. And I like the way the sort of the wetness of the ink and the way it flows, just effortlessly kind of flows out of the pen. But, I would prefer if it had a little more, if it had some line variation. So it's not the ideal drawing pen, but it works pretty well if you like a single line. Okay, thanks.